What is going on, guys? I'm doing a quick review on the Spot X. The reason I'm doing this review is I felt the current reviews on it did not do the item justice, and in fact I almost did not buy this unit due to the reviews I had seen, and I am glad that I followed my instincts and picked up the Spot X instead of going with some of the reviews that I saw. I want to go over a couple features and a couple things that I saw some of the negative reviewers spoke about, and how I do not believe that those are true statements or a true review of the item. This machine or unit comes $250 as of right now. It's half the price of the next competitor for it. It is a great little device, and some of the things that I saw that were negatives either are not true or seem to be upplayed, that they're more dramatic than they really are. The unit comes with the unit itself, a USB cable, this little carabiner, and the strap, which this actually works out really well. I hang this right from my backpacking pack front strap, and it just kind of hangs there as I hike. A couple things I want to go over with the unit are the big negatives that I saw. One of the big negatives that I saw on this was about the messaging and how it takes forever to receive a message, or it doesn't send and receive them, or different things. And I found that that's simply not the case. With this unit, you have to consider two things. One, it's not a cell phone. It is an SOS beacon with the added benefit of being able to send text messages. It is not going to work like a cell phone where you can text your significant other 50 text reply messages and have them instantaneous show up and everything else. This is meant as a tracking SOS device that you can send and receive messages kind of as, I don't want to say an afterthought, but sending and receiving messages are not the main consideration with this device. And with that, it works perfectly. So one of the complaints I saw was that it doesn't send and receive messages over long periods of time. And I believe what they're referring to is there's actually something called a fetch rate. And if you go into the fetch rate, you can change how often it's going to fetch messages. It comes standard with it being off, meaning that it will not fetch messages until you do something to activate the satellite. And I can show you how to do that in a little bit. But you can, let's say you get to camp and you're ready for bed and you want to chit chat with the significant other, you can change it to the high battery rate, 2.5. I have it selected here. And then that's going to send and receive messages quickly, every 2.5 minutes. The way I usually have this set up in my last couple hikes, I set it to either 10-minute or 30-minute, depending on if it's early in the day or late in the day. Here you can see I'm texting myself just to test out some stuff, just to go over things and test everything out. The other thing is, with the unit itself, with the messages, what you can do is there is a fetch new messages button, and I did see some complaints that it doesn't work, and I do agree that it is not the best feature on the unit. Whether it works or not, I wouldn't say yes or no, because the unit gets messages when you turn the fetch rate on. So when you're out hiking or backpacking and you click this, it does go into a sync mode where it's fetching the messages, and it can take the little pop-up comes up, and it can take a little bit for you to get your message. The thing with this device to remember is it pings the satellite when it's trying to fetch messages. So when you click this, I think, and I could be wrong on this, you never know, I definitely could be wrong on this. I think when you click this, it turns the fetch rate on. So I think it's still like a 2.5 minute or something like that to fetch, because it has to use the stuff that's already programmed into it. I don't think it really has a push button retrieve the messages at this moment. I think it fetches at the 2.5. The other thing I want to talk about that I saw is people saying it doesn't stack messages. And that's just not true either. Maybe in a past one that could have been true, but I do not have that issue. I've updated the software. Like here I have a predefined message I'm at a spot. So what I can do is select who I'm going to send it to. I'll send it to myself. And then down here you can select if you want your altitude and your GPS location, and then you send it. Once you send it, it's still fetching. Once you send it, you can see a little satellite thing it come on, and you see the messages. So you now have a little one here for your messages as well as the fetch. And then let's say I send a second message. We'll go back. This is kind of, oh, it disappeared. So it's sent. So this actually has sent the message already. Let me see. I'll send myself a couple quickly. I'll send it to this. Okay, and then let me send another one quickly. And I'll send one to my wife really quick. Alright, so now you can see it says 2. The little messages with 2. So what'll happen is, as this connects every 2.5 minutes, these stack up, and it will send one of the messages at 2.5, and then this will turn into a 1. And then when it sends the other message, this will turn into, it'll just disappear like it did before. And in fact, if you go and you check in, it should say 3, I believe. Yep, it'll pop up to 3. So now it has 3 messages queued, and then it'll send them as it gets satellite and as it pings with the satellite. I don't believe it sends it all in a batch because I haven't had that happen yet, but I do believe it will send it one at a time. I think once it connects to the satellite itself, it'll send a message, and if there's a message, it'll receive a message. But I am pretty convinced that it does only send one message at a time instead of 3 all at once, unless it has a very strong signal. I'm sure it can send it at that point. But those were the biggest complaints I saw on this, and I just wanted to address those. That this unit does not have the issues that they talk about. The reason I still have 3 here, and I know some people will comment, well, they haven't sent yet. I'm actually in my house. It's a brick house, and I have trees all around me. And this unit does need kind of a clear sky, at least not in brick. I am by a window, and I think if I kind of point this towards the window, it'll probably have a better time of it. But in a house, yeah, it doesn't send and receive messages easily, at least in my experience. But when I was on the trail, there was 0 issues with it. I've taken it out, I think 3 times now. I've had no issue sending and receiving messages. I did the Fred Hot Trail on the Arizona Trail, and I was in a pretty deep canyon with very high walls, and it was pretty darn narrow with trees everywhere, and it tracked me the entire time. I was able to send and receive messages the entire time. I did notice in a couple spots I had stopped and I took a picture, and I was testing out the capabilities of this guy. So I did send messages, and when I was under the trees in the canyon, they didn't send or receive. I did have to get out where there wasn't a tree, which that's not a big deal, because this primarily is for SOS. So when it tracks you, even if you're 100 yards or 500 yards or even a quarter mile from the last ping, they have a area that they can find you in. And that's where this really steps in. So I know this is getting long-winded. I just want to kind of address these issues. I believe that there's 2 kinds of people when it comes to hiking in these units. There are the people who hike and backpack and adventure who, see, the satellite just came on. I wonder if it will go down. Again, I'm inside, so it may not. No. So there's 2 kinds of people, I think, that would benefit, that are looking at these. There's the adventure, hiking, exploring people who want to get out into nature. They just want a device that can track them. They can hit SOS to, if they get in a bind, they can summon help. And they want to send messages to loved ones, either, hey, I'm going to stay an extra night. Hey, I'm getting off trail. Something like that. This is not a cell phone for communicating with someone all the time. This is a SOS tracking device where you can send text messages, and it's pretty cool. So if you look at it like that, the other type of person is someone who hikes and they need to Twitter and Facebook and text 5 or 6 people long conversations when they should be enjoying nature. And I don't think that those people would find this a beneficial tool. I think they should go with the inReach or something on the inReach's network, because the inReach does have 2 or 3 times the satellites of this guy, and that would be more for someone who needs to stay connected all the time. But when I'm hiking, I need this to text my wife or my friends if I get in a bind and I need help and I can't self-rescue. I need this to track me so my wife knows where I'm at, or my friends know where I'm at when I'm going backpacking. And I need this in case something happens. I can get a text message, if something major happens, a pipe bursts at home, or my dog is sick or something, and I got to cut a trip short, and I'm in the backcountry on a 4-day backpacking trip. This right here will help me, because I'll be able to receive the text messages when I'm not within cell range, and I can make a decision based on at that point. I'm not going to be texting my wife, hey, thinking of you, XOXOXO, and getting into a long texting conversation with my wife, or friends or whatever, with this device. This is a SOS beacon that tracks your steps, your location, and it has the added benefit of text. So this is a fantastic device. 2 thumbs up, 8 out of 10 stars. And the only reason why I say 8 out of 10 is the user interface is dated. The buttons are a little tiny. It takes a little bit to get used to. For $250, which is half the price of the competitor, and for the monthly plan, I think is $15 if you do a monthly, month-to-month plan, and that gives you like 10 messages, 10 custom, and unlimited predefined and unlimited tracking and unlimited SOS. I think the competitor is like $30 or $35 for the same deal. I mean, you're paying for one of 2 things. You're either paying for SOS, and if you get in trouble and you need to send a couple messages once in a while, you're going to pay less. Or if you're a social butterfly who needs to constantly be in contact when you're out in the great outdoors, you're going to pay twice as much for the other unit, the other brand. So this is my quick review of this. I've taken it out again on a couple of different ones. Get the device if you're on the fence. Please don't listen to the real negative reviews. I believe those negative reviews are either fanboys and they already own the inReach system, in which this would be a downgrade for them if they have the inReach. I mean, it's twice as much. It has 2 or 3 times the satellites. This would be a downgrade, but I'm not spending the money on something I don't need. Or the second type of person that I believe is negatively reviewing this is a social butterfly type person who they expect this to be a cell phone, and they expect instant messenger type speeds on their text messages, which is just not appropriate expectation for this device. It tracks you, you can SOS, and you can send text messages occasionally. I mean, I had 20 or 30 text messages with my wife as I was bedding down with this, with the 2.5 minute update, and it wasn't a big deal. So, I mean, you can still communicate. Please don't think I'm trying to say you can't. It's just, it's not a cell phone, so don't expect it to be. 2 thumbs up. Get this unit. If you're an adventurer who's outdoors, especially if you go alone, I do that a lot. This is going to be your lifesaver. This is going to be your lifeline to the world and civilization if you get in a bind. Do not listen to the negative reviews. Get this device. If you're on the fence and you saw some 1 and 2 star reviews, I don't know. Those people, I don't understand their 1 and 2 star reviews. This is fantastic. I've used it. I've actually gone out in the backcountry and used it, and it's amazing.